You get up and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business. And I have chosen you to preach this evangel.
For all my free market healthcare robbing, stock stealing, retirement fund fucking with niggas. Fuck you little credit card scamming, jewelry stealing, crack selling, liquor store robbing motherfuckers.
I learned about Ron Paul back in 2007. It was about the fourth debate when he came to FAU, which is in Boca. That was the school I was attending at the moment. When I heard him speak, it's like, did he really just say that?
All right, so what's your name?
My name is Wes.
All right, and who are you here to support, or what are you here to do?
I am actually here because my brother and I started a non-profit sort of organization that actually tries to get kids involved in the political process. We call it Kids Rock the Vote, and it's based off of MTV's Rock the Vote. And what we do is we go around and we ask people some questions, and you know, about like sort of political issues that they are concerned with, and how they think kids can get involved. And then we post that on our blog and on YouTube, and we just try to get the message out to kids that it's important to get people to the polls and have them vote.
Gotcha. So you deal with a lot of young people.
Yes.
So what kind of issues are common for young people to really care about from your experience?
Well, I mean, I personally, as a Democrat, I'm very pro-choice on abortion and things like that. And I personally, I am pro-gay marriage, simply because I believe, you know, gays are people too. Everybody should have the same rights. Everybody was created equal.
So when you say you believe in gay marriage, does that mean you believe like in a law being passed, or what exactly do you mean?
I just think that it should be legal. I don't think that it should be, that marriage should be discriminatory. I mean, you know, everyone has equal rights, and you know, they really have the right to they have the right to their own sexual orientation.
Yeah. So do you think that maybe it's the business of marriage maybe shouldn't just be in government at all? Maybe that's some more private contract.
I think that is totally like religious business, and sort of really like just when two people love each other regardless of what their genders are, they are unified in marriage, and therefore I think that gay marriage should be legal.
Gotcha. So all right, what was the name of your organization again?
Kids Rock the Vote.
And you got a website or anything like that, or?
Yeah, a blog. And it's I think it's just Kids Rock the Vote at Blogspot, maybe.
All right, easy enough. All right, thanks.
Yep.
All right. So what's your name, sir?
My name's Gerald Gaddis.
And are you here to support somebody, or are you here to hand out this?
I'm here to support Romney, but I have a tax policy that I've written that I'm trying to get promulgated here. It's called Strive for America, and you can find out the details at striveforamerica.wordpress.com.
Gotcha. So what about Romney is appealing to you?
I think he's been very successful in business and running the Olympics. He's a guy that knows how to get things done, and he will get things done. He's got real-world experience.
So do you think that the position of president is really a business position? Do you really think that is what the qualifications are?
I think it's a position of having to make decisions and having to make decisions quickly with all the information that's available. You might make a wrong decision, but you have to change course quickly.
So what kind of decisions are you looking for him to make? Like, what exactly do you mean by make decisions?
Well, there's a lot of, he's got to lead. There's systemic problems that we have. Our tax code, for instance, our corporate taxes are the highest in the industrialized world. Everyone else all the other countries are lowering their tax rates now. Canada, for instance, used to have much higher corporate tax rate. They lowered it. It's much lower than ours right now. I'll give you an example. In March and April of this year, they are about 33 million people. They had 141,000 new jobs. We're 9 times bigger than them. We had about 220,000 jobs. They're kicking our butt. On the Economic Freedom Index, we used to always be ahead of Canada. Now we're 10th in the world, and they're 6th. Europe has been lowering their corporate tax rates. Japan used to be higher. They lowered theirs. So we need to lower the corporate tax rate. I'm proposing to go from 35% to 24%. We have another perverse incentive for multinationals to, they make corporate profits overseas. They owe U.S. taxes at the highest rate, 35%, plus state taxes, but they don't have to pay it. As long as they leave the money overseas, they don't have to pay U.S. taxes. So they have an incentive to keep that money, that capital, out of the United States permanently. So I'm proposing that there's a phased-in 10-year deferment. It can't be automatic because that would take too much cash flow for them. It would hurt their business. It would make our multinational companies uncompetitive with other corporations in the world. But 10 years would give them enough time to plan for that cash flow. We would actually collect more money. It's kind of like when you put tuna fish on sale. You don't sell less, you sell more tuna fish.
Gotcha. So one thing you could say is that you would like to open up the freedom of people to keep the fruits of their own labor and to spend their money and place the money as they see fit?
Yes.
Okay, so why uphold a system that uses taxation which inherently takes that away?
Well, government has certain functions that are provided for in the Constitution. National defense. Government is supposed to look at the policies that are going on in each state and recommend the best policies to the states. They're supposed to support a system of justice. We need to have a fair court system, so they have legitimate things to do. Taxes are a necessary evil to fund necessary government functions. We've gotten too much. Too much is being done at the federal level. More needs to be done at the state level.
So in principle, you're okay with using violence against people to extort money from them to pay for things that they may not want to pay for?
Not violence per se, I guess, but governments are power. We give to government the power to do things that the individuals either cannot do or cannot do efficiently. Government is, in essence, power. It's the power to decide life and death.
So do you feel the government's being efficient with our money?
Very inefficient. People don't realize how big $1 trillion, $16 trillion is unbelievable. Obama talks about millionaires and billionaires. And I don't think people realize how big a magnitude a billion is over a million. And a trillion is a million billion. The numbers in our deficit are just staggering. It's very irresponsible. I look at Obama as like a kid. I'm a tax preparer. I look at young people coming out of college. They get these teaser rate credit cards. You know, they live high on the hog at 0 rate interest. Well, eventually, those interest rates go to 18%. If you're late on them, they can go as high as 29%. That's the boat that we're in right now. It's acting like someone right out of college without any experience.
So do you think it's fair that other people can run up a debt that other people after them are going to have to pay, and then if they don't pay, have violence used against them called the law?
I think it's morally corrupt in order to put everything. I mean, if you're going to spend the money, you got to tax it. We shouldn't be spending the money, but it's not fair for the next generations to pay for it.
So does somebody have the right to spend money on my behalf without my permission at all?
For national defense, they do. To uphold the court systems, they do. There are certain things in government that we have to have. There are certain things that are not efficient to be done by individuals.
Even without consent?
Even without consent. Giving government is power. Government is, in the essence, power. They have to have the power. There has to be a final arbiter. That's why I don't like Obamacare. The government cannot be the final arbiter. You have to be able to appeal to the government for a decision.
So you think that one way or another the government should have the say between you and a doctor in a private contract?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
So why would you vote for Romney when he wrote up the precursor to Obamacare?
Romney is someone that's been very successful in business. When you're president, you have to make decisions. And you have to make quick decisions with all the information that you have. You have to hold the course. You can't change all the incentives all the time, on a whim. You have to stick with plans. Ronald Reagan stick with the plan. When he took office, there was a terrible recession, 1981 and 1982. Unemployment rate got up to 10.3%, but he held the course. He knew that lowering taxes and taking away the disincentives, deregulating, letting the Americans' ingenuity create wealth. He knew that the individual, it's like the markets, a million people making the best decisions for themselves is always going to be better than a few people making decisions for everyone else.
Well,
work best.
my next question would be, under Reagan, wouldn't you say that unemployment went up, the drug war kind of got kicked into high gear, and the result
went down.
Not unemployment, you're right, I'm sorry. I meant the debt. The debt went up. The drug war was kicked off, restricting our freedoms, so that we might not have gotten some of the same problems as a Democrat president, but government grew nonetheless.
Well, he made negotiations, and he took the tax rate down. It was 70% for non-wages. It was 50% for wages. He brought it down all the way to 28%, and there was a trade-off. He made deals with the Democrats. He took away a lot of deductions that people had, but there was also a deal that they would cut costs. The House, Reagan never had the House of Representatives. That's where all spending bills come out. So he made a deal, and the Democrats didn't keep it. That's why the spending went up. But there was a lot more tax revenue that came in under Reagan.
So my point being that when we have this thing called government that taxes, and you have a two-party system that seems to perpetually grow, at what point, is it $16 trillion in debt and, a total police state around the city, at what point do we withdraw consent and say maybe we should start taking care of ourselves because these people aren't doing a very good job?
We have our Constitution, Declaration of Independence is the best form of government. We don't always follow to them. We need, like the Tea Party has been a great thing. It will keep the Republican Party to task to do what they're supposed to do. I mean, it's an incentive for people that are in government to want to help their constituents to spend money. So it's natural for the Congress to do that, but the people have to say no. They have to make them hold the line.
So can you think of any point in human history where a government has gotten big and out of control and then limited its own power, or investigated itself and found itself to be criminally liable?
Well, in 1981, they did with Nixon. I mean, Nixon was found, the Republicans, didn't take Nixon's sides. They didn't support him. He was going to be impeached. He had to resign. So that was one area where they did that. In 1981, we were in a terrible mess. Unemployment in Detroit was 25%. We had inflation that was double-digit. Interest rates were over 20%. The prime rate was over 20%. Mortgages I had a mortgage in 1981 at 18%. That was a terrible time. I mean, it was probably worse than the economic condition that we had in 1988, or excuse me, in 2008. And we had a bad depression in 1981 and 1982. But he stuck with the course. Unemployment went from like 10.3% to 5.2%. What was it called? The misery index was like 29%. It went down to, I think it was under 10%. But that was a time when, the Constitution flourished. We need another Reagan.
All right, you pointed out Nixon. Sure, he was resigning and found liable in Watergate, but he still got rid of the last remnant of the gold standard and our power to hold the bankers responsible with sound money. So, I mean, even when it's an apparent drop in power, they still get more. They still get more secrecy and power over our money or freedom.
With our government system is that we have a system that when you're with the federal budget, there's an incentive for them to spend everything in their budget. because if they don't, they have an automatic cut to it. So there's a perverse incentive at the end of the fiscal year. They're spending like mad. I had a client that used to work in the Navy, and one year to spend their budget, they bought tons of paper, but they didn't really take possession of it. They just moved it from the printing company to a warehouse. And then the next year they said they couldn't do that. They moved the paper to a battleship. I mean, isn't that the craziest thing you've ever heard? But our system of, baseline budgeting, where you're always spending more and more, that's got to stop. That's a systemic problem that we have that just has to change.
So at what point does it cease being a systemic system and or a systemic problem and start becoming a systemic system that is the problem? At what point is it not individuals that are bad, but intrusive government as a whole that says they have the right to take money from you under force, that says that you don't own your body and that you can't do whatever you want with your body under threat of force? At what point do we say that's the problem?
We're there now. We're at the tipping point. We cannot spend the rate of money that we're borrowing. We borrow 43 cents on every dollar. This is totally unsustainable. An individual could never get by at spending at these kind of levels. I mean, the federal government can print money, but that's just going to lead to inflation. So you may not pay a higher tax, but you're going to pay a higher tax by more gasoline, by more food, by more housing. So this is the most critical time. We've got to turn this ship around. Now, the program I have, it's called striveforamerica.wordpress.com. It's a systematic plan to totally revise the tax system that we have. The most important thing is, number one, is the corporate tax system. We have the highest corporate tax rate in the world. Did I cover this with you?
Yes, at the beginning.
Sorry.
But that's okay. All right, well, thank you.
I thank you.
It's not really, I just use that title because I got tired of them attacking Ron Paul and him being a racist, because that's the only thing you can attack him on, not his voting record. Like, come on the news, that he's getting it right. Like, we don't blame CNN for all the false stories they put out. On the New York Times, I'm sorry, here we go. It says, not for sale, will not sell my soul for what? I'm able to get out there and work. Like, I was laid off in January. By March, I was working 2 jobs. My wife then picked up a job herself because, my one source of income that was able to maintain our family, we had to, step it up a little bit and make cutbacks. People, go broke, in other words. What we do, we budget and make cutbacks. Why the government can't make cutbacks? Why they spend it with no cap, but yet they still want to police the world? Police the world for what? We can't protect our borders from the Mexicans. But I shouldn't stereotype and criticize the Mexicans because this is what they do. But Mexicans are great people. That's, as I always tell people, our 3rd largest lender. We still borrow money, drill for oil over there. But don't forget Operation Fast and Furious, where we sell them the guns. Check it out on YouTube. CNN, not CNN, but Wells Fargo and Bank of America launders money through the drug cartel. Because this is the best way to launder money. It's what they do. They've been doing this forever. As I said, we can't blame Obama for the issues that we have going on today. It's not his fault. We can blame him for knowing what the issues are and prolonging them. You ran on change. Change? I don't see no change. Only change I see is a higher deficit, and not white people scream reverse racism. For what? I don't know. But it's okay. I'll say power to the people, never the elites, man. Print for Ron Paul. If I can change, anybody can. All right.
Amen. All right, we're just here with a, I don't want to say demonstrator, but somebody who's obviously anti-war. Mind if I see the other side? All right, so what are you doing here, sir?
I'm here because the national debt's almost $16 trillion.
Okay.
I've been writing about this since 1992. This has been a problem for over 30 years. It's going to take 20 years to fix it if they ever decide to get on top of it. You can't make a mess like this and fix it overnight.
I agree. So your sign says GOP wars on credit card, Iraq and Afghanistan. Obviously you're against the wars.
You ever been in the service?
No, I haven't.
Most people that have been in the service don't think war is a good idea.
No, I would agree with you. But so would you say this is strictly a GOP thing, or what about maybe the military excursions that are going on from the government in general, whether it be Libya or Syria?
The United States has service personnel in more than 66 countries. People need to figure this out. Why? Have you read the George Washington's farewell speech?
Yes, I have.
You're one of the few. It's amazing. He listed 5 things not to do. One of them, get involved in foreign skirmishes. Don't run your country in debt. You can't have morality without some sort of religious basis. We've thrown everything that he set out. Why do we do that?
So you feel maybe the country is generally going away from the principles laid out in the Constitution?
You got 30 million laws on the books. The Constitution was 6 pages long, including the Declaration, or including the the Bill of Rights. 6 pages for the Declaration of for our Constitution. NAFTA was 1,400 pages, and GATT's 22,000 pages. Article 6, paragraph 2 of the Constitution reads, all treaties supersede our Constitution. Those are treaties. You have a treaty that's 22,000 pages. People don't have a clue what's in it. It's 8 feet tall worth of paperwork if it's stacked upon itself. That's a problem. People need to wake up to what's going on.
So there's a lot of, there's pretty much no transparency between us and the inner workings of our government.
What do you mean by transparency?
Like, we don't know what's going on with our government. We don't know how it operates. Like you said, NAFTA, we don't understand how our trade with other countries operate and things like that.
These are legal obligations. Why would it take 22,000 pages to run something like the Global Agreement of Trades and Tariff, which when it was ratified became the World Trade Organization, and our own Constitution only took 6 pages? That's a problem. That's a problem. You shouldn't be writing stuff like that. And it should be read in its entirety so the people know what's going on.
Yep. All right.
That would stop that.
So would you say you're as much against the military excursions under Obama, like Libya and stuff like that, as you are under a Bush?
Playing in other people's countries has a tendency to backfire. It's backfired throughout the course of history. We backed Pinochet down in, I believe it was Chile, the dictator of Argentina. We made a mess down there. Noriega was our guy. Saddam Hussein was somebody that the Americans put in power. We need to stop dabbling, and when they kill these people, their kids grow up. There's a reason we're not liked in large parts of this in the world.
All right, I would very much so tend to agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan?
Why?
Because there's no other option to the future.
What about possibly trying to, en masse move third party where there's some principles?
No.
Why not?
Because it detracts from the two major parties. It distorts the election.
So the two major parties, do you really feel that the two-party system, do you feel that it's viable and is productively servicing our people?
Yes.
How so?
Well, because you have two platforms, and you can look at the two platforms and decide what you want to do. If you had a third platform, that would be another issue. But generally speaking, they haven't panned out. They haven't worked.
So, do you feel there's a lot of difference between the two parties?
Absolutely, fantastic difference, night and day.
Can you explain how? Because I feel that that either way we have gotten bigger government, more taxes, more intrusions into our lives.
That's right, I agree 100%. Besides, we're very pro-life, so the life issues, the moral issues, the family, the marriage between one man and one woman, these are all aspects of the platform that we support, and that the other guys on the other side don't take that. We're anti-welfare. We like the concept of helping people, and when they work for what they get. And we've gotten ourselves into a situation where we give people something, and it's very difficult to take it away. Once you give somebody something, it's hell to take it away.
Okay. So now I'm not a Democrat or anything like that, but do you believe in the word tolerance?
Yes.
Okay. So do you use?
I mean, I believe that the Democrats can run their campaign, and they can they can put out their views, and we have a choice, and that's it.
All right, so you believe in tolerance, and obviously as a Republican you believe in conservatism with the views that you just said.
Right.
So would you say that it's conservative to vote and for government to use violence against people who don't share the same views you do? Violence meaning non-victim. If somebody commits something that is against your morals, even if they don't harm somebody, the force of law can be used against them.
The law, the rule of law, whatever's law. I mean, I so heard the law.
So do you believe in victimless crimes?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, for example, let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you run a stop sign and there's nobody there. Did you just commit a crime?
Yes.
Who's the victim?
Doesn't make any difference.
Why is that?
Because it's crime. The rule of law.
So the rule of law overrides morals and tolerance.
That has nothing to do with morals. I haven't said anything about morals. What's the moral aspect of running on a red light at 2 o'clock?
That's exactly my point. What I'm saying is that I think a crime would be violence in some manner against other.
It's not crime so much. It's a law. That's all. It's not crime.
So don't you feel that when laws are starting to restrict non-violent activity or normal human activity, that we're starting
running red lights, normal human activity? No, I don't buy that.
I mean, if it's who's it harming?
What?
Who is it harming at 2 o'clock in the morning?
It doesn't make any difference. It's a law. Somebody, our people, passed the law, and that's the way they want it.
So what if me
You
as
don't
somebody?
smoke in buildings, you know. I mean,
Well, that's different.
no, it isn't. You know, you got a law that you don't smoke here. And if you smoke here, they can put you in jail. You know, who's
Yeah,
that harming?
But somebody who owns a building, that's private property rights. I have the right to have somebody smoke in that building.
these aren't the buildings' rights. These are rights that are coming upon us. This is what's going to happen. You know, they start slow and they gradually say you can't smoke here and you can't smoke here. I'm not smoking, but you can smoke here and can't
So
smoke
don't
here.
you feel that's oppression if it's like public places and places?
No.
All right. So how is you voting for the force of law to put me in a cage if I smoke someplace public? How is that not violence?
I didn't put you that law, I did.
But I'm saying that your taxes pay for that law and your vote supports that law.
Yeah. Okay.
So how is that not violence? If I don't
it's not
consent
violence.
to it?
I don't view that as violence. I view that you broke the law.
So if I were to be walking down the street with a cigarette in a restricted smoking area, and somebody were to take me and put me and say I owe them money, and if I didn't know that, and if I didn't know the money,
Is that ever happened?
that's what police officers do every day, million times a day.
You're gonna pay them off. They owe you money.
That's what a fine is. Yes.
Oh well, the fine. You go to you don't. Right there, go to the fine there. I don't know where you're trying to go. You're trying to get me to say something that I'm not, you know, like I approve repression of the masses.
What I'm saying is,
to do with that. Okay?
Whether it's Democrat or Republican, is irrelevant. I'm saying that these laws are getting so intrusive that we live in pretty much tyranny.
Well, then we got to change the laws.
What happened? All right, so change the laws. So meaning
we have a vote.
Okay, change the laws meaning that we should vote in somebody for smaller government. So my question to that would be, can you point out a time in history ever, whether it be a government, a monarchy, a parliament, whatever have you, that decided to limit its own power once it has gained power over the people?
Have you? Can you tell me one?
No, and that's a big problem. I'm saying we're not going to get that.
No.
They don't care about our voices. It's evident, you know, with Libya, with Bush and the wars against Iraq.
The problem is that there's obviously going to be things that happen that you're not agree with. You know, when you have somebody when you have a list of things that you are supporting, there's probably very few people out there have the same position on those lists all the way down the line. There's no one you're going to find. There's nowhere, even in the parties, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, or the third party, or whatever. There's nowhere. You know, everybody's going to be.
I understand.
Disappointed.
Yes, I understand. So doesn't that kind of mean that the entire idea of representative government is unviable?
No, I like it. I like our government. Whether you like it or not, I like it.
Okay,
and whether you try to prove that it's not going to work, you're sitting out here and I'm sitting out here and we're talking.
Yep.
And we have a freedom to talk. And I have a freedom to go into that convention. And I have a freedom to vote. And I can go to the church I want to go to church. And I don't need much more than that, okay? And if they want to come along and say you can't smoke here, that's okay with me, because there's enough people that say you can't smoke there. It's not good for health.
And my point being, if that's okay with you, then sure, you can voluntarily consent to that. What about to the people who don't consent to that, who do smoke and want to smoke a cigarette down the sidewalk that their taxes help pay for?
There are places where they can smoke. There are places that are made for them to smoke, and if they don't like it, they can leave the country.
So do you believe
you don't go to a different country? You go to a different state. If you don't like the laws in the state, you can go to a different state, right? And you know, you can go to a red state. And I don't have to worry about all this crap.
Okay.
But if I'm in a blue state, I'm fighting everything. So it's the way this country is.
So do you own yourself and do you own your body?
Yes.
So that means nobody else has the right to tell you what you can and cannot do with your body, as long as you're not harming anybody?
No. My body's a physical body.
So then why do you get the right to tell people they can or cannot smoke down the street with a vote?
I don't tell them that. The people tell them.
But you vote for that and your taxes pay for
Right.
that.
But then let's not vote about anything. Everything's free. You do anything you want to do. That's what you're trying to say.
No, unless...
No, you are. Everything you want to do, you can do. Otherwise, you're a tyrannist.
Have a nice day.
Romney is a draft dodger. He got 4 deportments while Ron Paul was serving his country and putting broken men back together.
All right, so what are you guys doing here?
Looking for violence.
Looking for protesters.
Looking for protesters, okay. What kind of protests?
Violent.
Violent protesters.
Good photojournal violence.
So you plan on just photographing?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Why would you feel the need to commit violence here today?
I don't feel
why would you be looking for a violent protest here today?
It makes for a badass picture, that's about it.
Pretty
Gotcha.
much. See how the real side of things are.
Gotcha. So you guys don't really have any political affiliation with this place or anything like that?
I mean, I do, but I'm just here for photography.
Gotcha.
I care less about the Republicans.
It's all the same, right? It's
different names and philosophies, but aside from that.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, that's pretty much what I was getting at. So that's what
you're asking.
All right, so what are you here for today?
Liberty or death?
Liberty or death. What does that mean to you?
I really just want to live my life, and I don't really understand. I can't understand any argument against somebody living their own life. Like, I want to live mine, you can live yours. You don't hurt me, I won't hurt you back, and we'll be fine. I just don't understand how you can argue with it. It's like common sense. I was born to live, so let me do it. Nobody voted on a ballot for me to breathe. Why do I have to vote every 4 years to do everything else in my life?
Gotcha. So what do you think would be some of the biggest problems in our society today that don't allow you to
I think our biggest problem is people doubting other people. I think the reason we're all so dependent on our government and everything is because we automatically assume that everybody around us is irresponsible, lazy, like incapable of helping those around them. They don't want to work, they're like irresponsible, and I just think it's bullshit.
So you would say that government involvement in our lives facilitates all kinds of negative behaviors, whether it be laziness or whether it be complacency?
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? What else is an intrusion to our free society?
My little, alright, well, this is why it makes me really angry. My little sister, alright? She'll be 21 in December. She hasn't graduated high school. She has no license, no car. She's only ever worked once for maybe about a month. I have a nephew. Her medical bills are paid for. His medical bills are paid for. She gets she gets food stamps. Her groceries are paid for every month. I have to work my ass off every day. I was run over in October. I almost died. I had to pay my medical bills. As soon as I could hobble around, I was back to working. I have to pay for my own groceries. I don't take a handout. Like, I finished school. That shit was free. It's not that hard. Like, I don't know. I mean, I understand some people need help, but I think we need to leave it up to other people to help them and not the government. Like, you'll get a lot more from me if you ask me for money. Like, if you ask me for $5, than you will if the government takes $5 from you, keeps $4.99 and throws you a penny.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that there's a big difference between people voluntarily coming together for exchange and then being extorted through it for the force of law and violence known as government.
I think that people will come together and help one another out. We just haven't been put in the position in a long time to have to do it, so everybody just assumes there's already help out there, so I don't have to help you because you got it coming anyways.
So what are some things that we can do to kind of increase our freedom in an unfree world?
Stop reasoning. Stop being so complacent. Like, I'm tiny, but I really am at the point, like, you get in my way, I might just want to, like, push you the fuck out of my way at this point. I'm frustrated. There's no valid argument for you wanting to be involved in my life unless I ask you to be. So I think everybody just needs to buck up and start taking responsibility of their own selves. And they can't arrest and throw all of us in jail. They can't put all of the people down. So if we just started doing what we all think of or what we all want and just stop waiting around for somebody to change it because we all would be that somebody, I'm not a nobody, then I think we'd be fine.
So you think it kind of comes through self-empowerment and maybe even as a whole circumventing the entire political system and just living as a free man in your personal life?
I mean, I might just be an anarchist who doesn't want to live in a barn, so I'm going to be really polite and try what I can until then. So, but I really like, just get the fuck away from me, I'm gonna live. And it's not that hard. If it gets hard, I'll go, like, really? Like, was this shit going on way back when? Like, go grow some fucking food if you're hungry. Walk if you need to get somewhere. Like, it's not, you don't have to have cars. We don't have to have fucking McDonald's. You can do stuff for yourself. I know it sounds like really crazy. It's not hard.
Yeah, so people's standards have gone up and productivity has gone down.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would agree. Okay, so you were just telling me that you had a little run-in with the police state down here.
The Ponocks.
So what exactly happened?
I was just sitting down over inside of Channelside. I had walked over to man, this gets even worse. I was sitting there and I bought a stupid shirt from the bar. This is their shirt. I was sitting at the boathouse. Just
you look like
gave
a tourist.
the girl money. Gave the girl, didn't look like a Ron Paul supporter, so I don't know why the hell they kicked me out. But I was just sitting there, and next thing you know, 4 cops come over and yell at me to get up out of my chair. Go over to a tree, they take my ID, they write down my name and my address. They ask me if that's correct. They won't let me know why they're taking down my name and address. I ask them if it's going on record. They say no. I don't know if it was better for it to go on record or for him to have my name and address on a piece of paper in his fucking pocket. I have no idea where that went off to, who it went off to, what it was for. I wasn't really told why I was being asked to leave. I was just told that I was banned. I couldn't talk to the security guard. The cops wouldn't talk to me. They just kept yelling at me. And then finally, in tears, I just looked at them and told them to have a good night and to sleep tight and walked off.
Wow.
And then I made it to the end with a smaller security guard who was like, who saw what the bigger one did and saw that it was unfair. And he was walking with me to try to get my name so we could talk to the property manager, whoever. And I had walked that distance alone by myself, and I stopped that all of like 5 seconds to talk to the other security guard, and I turned around and all the cops were right behind me again telling me that I had to cross the street and that I had to leave. I didn't have my phone was dead. John had my car keys, so my keys were nowhere near me. It was dark, they had my book bag, my camera, it was just me, like crying like a little bitch, only because I was like purely frustrated and pissed off that I was being asked to leave for no reason at all.
Well, just so you know, when they say it's off record, at least in normal circumstances, that's not true. There's always a record of any police interaction.
That's what I thought.
And so, was there any?
I wasn't allowed to ask their name. I could not get one word out of my mouth.
So they basically just ordered you around, and they didn't really give you any chance to settle it civilly.
Exactly. And afterwards, like me crying, I couldn't figure out. Even like when I woke up today, I didn't know if I was more ashamed of them, of myself, or of everybody that stood around me and watched it happen and said nothing. Like the whole situation itself, like as petty as it was, thoroughly pissed me off. Like it was like disheartening and discouraging.
It violates your humanity.
Yeah, shameful, because I of all people tell everybody that they need to buck up, and then when it happened, I tried really hard, and then and I'm a pending felon, so had I got arrested, I would have had a lot of complications getting back home. So I was trying, but I shouldn't be a pending felon anyways, because it's not like it did anything in the first place.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. One. There it is. 2. There's a third one somewhere. Helicopters in the sky. All right, so what are you doing here today?
I'm about to go into the convention with the Junior Statesmen of America.
Got you.
Nonpartisan group that is all around the country as high school students.
Cool. So, so who are you supporting here?
Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney?
Yeah.
Why is that? You get
Um,
sorry.
I support Mitt Romney because I like someone who can lead. He can make us be successful as a country. He'll get us out of debt.
So you feel it's a government's job to make you successful?
Absolutely not, but he is a successful businessman and he's been successful, and that mental attitude will make him successful in the White House.
So what kind of things do you think he's going to do for our country that'll make him successful in the White House?
He's going to inspire, dream, create. He's going to have us be the leaders of the United States. He's just going to have a really strong foreign policy. He's really knowledgeable about the nuclear security and nuclear proliferation, and he's got a good plan for the NPR in 2014. Overall, what Obama hasn't done anything that helps the foreign relationship. Yeah.
So you feel there's a fundamental difference between Obama and Romney?
Absolutely, especially regarding foreign relations.
So you mentioned that he has a strong foreign policy.
Strong foreign policy.
So you're for any military action against Iran?
Yes, I believe that we should be talking with Israel more than we do, and then I also think that if Israel feels it's in their best interest to go in and use military force, then we should do that as well.
Are you aware of the Israeli lobby?
Israeli lobby, yes.
Okay, do you understand that we talk very much with them and they have very much control over our foreign policy in Israel right now?
Yes.
All right, so about Iran, what if I were to have a article on my phone right now that I could show you right now that says the whole wiped off the map, like Ahmadinejad saying that he wants to wipe Israel off the map, that is not true, that is not what he said, it was used for political purposes, and that's not what he wants.
Even though just that one instance, it's more of a broader context. It's not just about Ahmadinejad, it's other countries in the Middle East.
So why would other countries in the Middle East, why should we attack them?
Because we care about our security, and if someone has nuclear weapons, we're not just going to leave it up to chance. That we're not going to put our safety in jeopardy.
So why don't we attack Russia? Vladimir Putin just stole the election over there.
Because Vladimir Putin has a Nuclear Proliferation Securities Act. He signed also in 1999. Vladimir Putin, his country has very strong policies on the lockdown of loose nuclear fissile material. Yeah.
So you would rather not attack Putin, who is said that he is an economic enemy of ours by circumventing the dollar and buying oil from Iran, even though the sanctions are going on, who stole the election, who has many nuclear weapons, but even you wouldn't attack him, but Iran, who has no weapon, has also signed the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty.
Iran is not on the NPT.
They signed it.
Iran is using the NPT as a way to develop their nuclear program under securities. Just like they won't let the IAEA into their facilities, they're using the NPT.
They actually have more than once.
Yes, but not recently, and that's what we need. They've also increased their enrichment facilities. Why do they need energy? They're in the Middle East. Oil is so cheap there. I just don't believe personally that they want it for energy. I think with them, they want to be the superpower in the Middle East.
Are you familiar with the idea of peak oil?
Peak oil?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Peak oil meaning that oil is not a renewable, like an immediately renewable resource. Peak would be at the point where you've used half of that resource, so no matter how much money, no matter how much drilling, no matter how much anything you do, you're never going to get back to the point that you were when you used before half of the product. So basically it's a depleting resource. So maybe that's why some countries would be looking into other forms of energy, such as nuclear energy?
Nuclear energy is a very safe and clean energy. It's when the dangerous part about nuclear energy is when something like natural disaster. But other than that, it's a very clean energy form.
So don't you feel that if we just maybe increased good relations with Iran and allowed them to have nuclear energy, that would drop the price of oil because it would increase, it would lessen the demand for oil over there, so the prices would drop?
So are you saying that we should increase diplomatic solutions with Iran?
Yes, they don't present it. They have,
yes.
As of now, they don't present any
But we
threats on
already
national
have
security.
diplomatics. We already are trying for diplomatic relations with Iran, but they are not allowing IAEA inspectors recently or any of our officials to inspect, check, or
okay. So
and it's a deterrence to leave something to chance.
Okay, so do you believe that we have the right to tell people what to do with their energy policies, or any country has the right to tell any other country?
If it pertains to our security, absolutely.
But there's no threat to our national security right now.
Yeah, but it's the potential for the security.
So you believe in? So you
I would
believe
rather be safe than sorry.
So you believe in murdering possibly hundreds of thousands of people just to feel safe?
I didn't say that.
Well, what happens in war?
Sorry?
What happens in war?
Defense.
So what is defense?
What is defense? Defending our freedom, our security, our country.
For example, if I thought, obviously this is not going to happen, but if I thought, you know what, I think this guy in front of me right now is dangerous, I'm going to knock him out because I think he might be dangerous. Is that defense? Or is defense me punching you and then you punching me back?
Yeah, but that's not, you don't have that thing of respect, I guess you could say.
So who would be disrespectful in that case? The person who
you
just
can't
assumes?
just be going down the wall and punching people out just because you think they might be dangerous.
So how can you apply that to a personal principle but not to a national principle?
Because it has to be explained inside empirical experiences.
So do we have those empirical evidence that we should be doing these things to them?
Doing what things?
Like trying to restrict militaristically?
Sanctions, you mean? Or are you...
Sanctions or an attack on their nuclear facilities, murdering their scientists, anything like that. These are human beings.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you think it would be good for Iran to get the bomb?
There's no evidence that they're getting a bomb. There's evidence that they're getting nuclear energy.
There is definitely evidence of Iran getting the bomb. They have increased enrichment by 25%. The fissile material is on the rise. There's definitely a connection.
So there's no way that's for energy. There's no way?
I don't think it's for energy.
You don't think?
For a few reasons. One reason is because they are in the Middle East. They're in oil heaven. It only costs like a few cents per bottle or for a barrel of oil.
Go brother, go brother.
So why are these countries trying to get nuclear energy, especially United Arab Emirates? They're trying to, and all the countries, they're trying to seek nuclear energy under the NPT's policies because they would like to have that ready just in case there's an unstable balance in power in the Middle East.
Okay, so
it's a security issue.
So I would say that why would they want to pursue nuclear energy when they have oil is, why would you only want to expand one good market? You know what I mean? If oil is not a renewable resource and it's something that they only have so much of, don't you feel that opening up the market to other sources of energy would actually lower the price of oil and then make it cheaper for us here back at home?
Look, no. These people have oil and it's ready, it's accessible to them. Why would, if they have something, why are they trying to go get something else? You don't leave fish to find fish. In other words, if something's working, why do you end that and go to something else?
Because you go for the future. Why that's what a free market is all about, is having choices. Why would you not want to? What if there was people over there who are in the market who say, oh, you know, I would like to power my home through nuclear energy, or power this through nuclear energy, or that, and they have a choice, maybe, and that's what drives the economy. That's what drives prices down, is competition. So why don't we allow for them to cheapen it there at home and increase their prosperity as well as ours in international?
Cheapen it by. How would that cheapen the price of energy?
Competition always drives prices down, because once you have competition, you have a choice.
It's already at it's already at so low already.
For them, but if you free up that oil for international trade, maybe they could sell it cheaper to us because there's less of a demand, because they're there at home.
I'm fine if they want to pursue peaceful purposes through nuclear energy, as long as it's under the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty policies, under IAEA safeguards, and they also signed the 2002 APM Treaty, the NPR, and as long as they're under these nuclear policy.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. All right. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you.
What are you doing here today?
Today I want to get in, see Mitt Romney speak, see what he says, and that's going to be the. That's going to set the pace for this election.
So you're a Romney supporter then?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I'm a Romney supporter. I think he makes sense. He's gone the issues. And I just didn't like what Obama did this for past 4 years. Like the deficit, that's scaring me. The debt, that's bad.
So do you think we stand to, like Paul Ryan on there, do you think we stand to do better under his debt or his budget plan that adds trillions of dollars to the debt before there's any cuts?
Well, I saw what one administration did. I want to get a new one because I don't like where this one's going.
So do you think, I mean, even harking back to the Bush days, you know, do you really think that the things that he's talking about is substantive change? You know, he's talking about bombing Iran and invading Syria, much like the military push from Bush, and not much different than the military push of Obama in Libya and Pakistan and places like that. So what kind of change were you hoping for here?
Well, I'm hoping for...
Do you have passwords on the way?
No, I don't have one. I'm hoping for something, a president that actually does what he says he does. And none of what I have seen, it's like, from Bush to Obama to this election, I want this country fixed, and I think Romney has it.
So, you're aware of all the flip-flops that he's done?
Yep.
Is that somebody you really think you could trust?
Well, I think he's trying to get the middle ground of the voters between the Republican, the hardcore ones, and the moderates, and there has to be some change in his policies, and I think that's all right, as long as he does what he says when he gets into office.
Okay, so what about the way that him and his campaign has treated the Ron Paul people? You know, just completely disrespecting them, not including them, pushing their people out of the party, doing everything to disenfranchise their delegates. Is that somebody you think you can trust, you know? Instead of expanding the Republican base, just shunning some new blood, young people like yourself.
Yeah, well, Ron Paul, it's like the Tea Party. It's like you have to mediate between those. I guess he chose to do that to keep the hardcore conservatives in there. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but I'm hoping for the best.
So hardcore conservatives, typically that just means people who espouse family values and things like that. What's the difference between a big government under a Democrat with social spending and a big government that does that spending to tell you how to act?
Well, I would just want a smaller government, and because lower spending, and the increase in government from the past to now, it's been a large increase, and I think we need to move to a smaller one. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
And Romney, he isn't very conservative. I like him because he's not moderate, but not conservative. He's in the middle. I think right now that's good.
All right, and you were saying that we need to reduce spending, reduce size of the government. I would totally agree with you. Can you name one point in history when any government, any dictator, Congress, Parliament has ever attained power and then said, you know what we're doing is wrong, we're gonna give that power back to the people?
Back to the people? Well, England, I'm saying their parliament, because they started giving their people more freedom, and while right now their country, they're doing...
It's kind of a police state over there.
Yeah, but before that, it was going good.
You mean when they were the empire and they were taking over everybody, including America and Ireland and Scotland and all these other countries that they were imperialist in?
Yeah, but they had a Bill of Rights, and that was innovative back in the time.
True, but my question to that would be, even our Constitution or in our Bill of Rights, has that protected us from a overly large, oppressive government growing up around us?
Yes, yeah, I think it has. For example, during World War II, when we had a 4-term president, we got that amended to the Constitution and limited. I think our Constitution's not perfect, but it works.
So what would you have to say about like things like the NDAA, the Patriot Act, the fact that the Federal Reserve is completely taking money away from the people, just all these basic intrusions in our lives? You know, they can tap our phones, they can kidnap you without charges, just all these very draconian things. What would you say about it?
I want that to change with the smaller government that they're promising. And I think if they do follow through on their promise, it's going to get a lot less invasive.
Did you know Romney said he would vote for the NDAA?
No.
Okay. Earlier you said, you know, you want small government and that's why you're voting for Romney. At what point do you think that this is out of the realm of politics and into the realm of we the people to cause these changes?
What again?
I said, at what point do you feel that the government has gotten so big and is not listening to its people that to cause these changes, to downsize it, we have to take it out of the realm of politics and into the hands of we the people?
Well, right now, what we had in the Senate, all the stalemate, all of that, and previously, like, with the corruption of some of the senators, I'm not saying that the system is not working, but there are some bad people, and because of that, the system is not working. And I think that if you get it smaller, you can get it closer to the people, and that's where you get that accountability for.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. All right.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Pretty good. How's it going?
I'm good. Doing good.
Just like you guys.
Do you, can you point us in the direction where, like, everybody's gathering at, or?
Yeah, where's our free speech zone?
So, what are you doing here today?
We're trying to get into the convention for the last night to see good old Mitt.
You're here for Mitt Romney.
We're all kind of here for Mitt Romney, I guess.
All right. What's appealing about Mitt Romney?
Well, the fact that he's a private sector businessman, I think is a good thing, because if you have a president who doesn't understand the economy, then you're not going to be able to run the economy. I think that's pretty basic logic. And I mean, I like Dr. Paul, but I don't like his chance of getting elected. So I think if everybody just kind of rallies behind Romney, then he's the best chance to beat Obama, which would be ideal.
So do you feel it's a president's job to affect or fluctuate or change the economy?
I think we should get rid of the Federal Reserve if that's where you're going with that.
Well, not really. Sort of, but not really.
I mean, I think it's his job to let, as much as he can, to let the private sector regulate itself.
Okay, so how do you do that? By instituting laws that inherently...
well, lower taxes, like a national sales tax or a flat tax. Probably national sales tax, probably ideally.
Yeah.
Lower corporate taxes, limited capital, well, maybe like low capital gains, like Singapore's, and no estate tax. You know, like just like make things easier for people to make investments.
And I would agree that we should be entitled to the fruits of our labor, and we shouldn't.
It's still income. Just because it comes from an investment doesn't mean, you know.
Yeah, I agree. We should be entitled to the fruits of our labor.
Yeah.
So what would happen if you get the fruits of your labor, but the same guy starts, you know, invading Syria like he said he would like to, starts bombing Iran, and all of the inflation that comes with funding that? What happens to keeping your? What's the point of keeping the fruits of your own labor when you can't buy anything with it because you're inflating it to bomb other countries?
Well, yeah, and like that's the problem. That's why like I see a lot of like in Ron Paul that isn't in the Republican Party, and like is more like be friendly neighbor but don't invade. And so I'm hoping that I mean I don't think that Romney is going to do too much on that. I just don't think I think that the time for aggressive foreign policy, like in the Bush administration in 2001, that's people want to distance themselves from that, especially the Republican Party more than anything. So I mean I'm not. At this point, the main concern is the economy right now, and Medicare, and like all that, and Social Security reform. And so I think that a bold foreign policy move, I mean, I don't think it'd be in the interest of Romney either, because that's what drives us more into debt, and that's one of our main issues. I feel like that's not going to be a problem.
So, would you say that no matter what, like whether it's a Republican in Romney or a Democrat in Obama, that either way we're getting more inflation, we're getting more, even under the budget plan of Paul Ryan, we're getting trillions added to the debt off of proposed future income cuts if they're there. Don't you feel that either way we're getting more big government, more intrusion, more poverty through inflation, and
I mean,
generally less freedom?
I mean, I'd rather have less unemployment and more inflation. I mean, as long as if you can keep inflation low and like consistent, then I don't think it's as bad.
So how do you keep inflation low when the only way that you fund anything is through a private central bank whose only job is to affect interest rates and print money?
Well, that's why that's why I totally disagree with the idea of like the Federal Reserve, because like if you take what happened even just right after they instituted it, you just had panics, because you can't like controlling like that monetary policy. I don't think it works, and so I think that like the best thing you can do is to stay as out of it as you can and let it cycle.
So maybe we're in like a no-win situation. Is that?
Well, it's gonna be like it's always gonna suck to get out of trillions of dollars of debt. Like it's never gonna be an easy way out.
But I'm saying, how do you get out of that debt when you have a country that has moved all of its production offshore? So you don't produce capital. The only thing you produce is money, and when you produce it, you create inflation, which you can't pay back off, and you owe interest on. And then you're doing foreign policy that adds to that debt in the first place.
No, and that's why I'm hoping that some smarter people than I can figure that one out.
I think it's just kind of a baseline problem of fundamentals that are self-defeating.
No, I mean like there's a lot of similarities in the Republican and Democrat parties that is a little unsettling, but I mean it's kind of like I guess lesser of evil situation, and what are you gonna do?
Actually, honestly, here's what I would advocate. How do you feel about this? What if we just completely started to circumvent the entire political system? What if we stopped going to court, we stopped paying taxes, we stopped complying completely and totally?
Anarchy?
No, anarchy would be chaos. Well, I mean, anarchy gets a bad rap, but what if you're so uncertain about anarchy, what about the guarantee of violence that we have under and poverty that we have under government? I think that sounds a lot worse than the uncertainty of moving to a completely free market in all human interaction.
Well, at this point, like our system has been how it is for such a long time. I don't think the answer is to get rid of all of it. You can rework rework taxation, like fix a few things, like rework like our entitlement programs. You can reduce those, but I mean, I think it's kind of irrational to say, okay, get rid of all of it, everything's going to be great. Like, I think that'd be worse.
I think there would be a transition, but my point.
I see the idea,
my point being that whether it's a Republican or Democrat, through all of history leading up to this point, we're getting bigger government, we're becoming more oppressed, being less free. So at what point is it, okay, you know what, we're oppressed and we're going to just not allow this anymore and just say no?
Well, I mean, I think that the majority of our freedoms are still here. If the freedoms keep getting taken away, then yeah, that's inevitably going to happen. Actually, can I cut this short? Because I think that we're starting to get
okay, sure.
Stuff. But thank you.
How you doing, man? You mind if I record? Are you with this group over here?
Yes, sir.
What's going on here?
Trying to get Obama out, trying to kill our kids, abortions, and we are against them.
So what's your stance on abortions then? I understand. Just I would like to hear your stance.
He just told me.
What you think about it?
Oh, I think abortions are very bad. I think they are very bad. They're killing the youth and they're killing our kids. I think that I'm against it in every way. It's in the Bible. I'm against it.
Okay. So I would agree they're very immoral. But do you think it's moral for you to vote for somebody to use violence against other people to do something that you deem immoral?
I just, right now I'm on abortion. You're killing our kids, you're taking away from my kids, and you're taking away from my
So you're for making abortions illegal?
No, I'm against abortion.
You're for making them illegal?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, making them illegal meaning that you want a law passed that if somebody makes this choice, you have the force and violence of law used against them to put them in a cage. Do you feel that you have the moral precedent to pass laws that restrict anybody from making a free market decision?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't think that maybe this could be changed by a societal issue, like changing people's morality of maybe we shouldn't do this because it's wrong, and not uphold a government that facilitates lazy behavior, facilitates inaction and things like that, and that's what's causing the abortion problem? I'm good. Oh wait, the banksters? Oh God, I already know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you know. Black Republicans.
Excuse me.
God forgive us! God forgive us! God forgive us! God have mercy! God have mercy! God have mercy!
doing, man? Mind if I ask you some questions? Okay, it's nothing. Okay.
We need God! We need God! We need God! We need God!
I mean, I want to be there at the high point.
Don't be a coward! Stand up, Romney! Stand up, Romney! Don't be a coward! Don't be a coward! Out with Obama! Out with Obama!
Yeah, Dana, we should probably disassemble your calendar.
Out with abortion! Out with abortion! Stand up, Romney! Don't be a coward! Stand up, Romney! Don't be a coward! Don't be a coward! Don't give in! Don't give in! Out with Obama!
How you doing, man? Do you mind if I answer some questions? Do you mind if I answer some questions?
No, you guys, him. This guy.
Man? All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. The one man down.
Okay. How you doing, man? Mind if I answer some questions? Just about what you guys are here for and everything like that?
Huh?
Just about what you guys are trying to accomplish, stuff like that?
Yeah, the point is to get Obama out of office.
Obama out of office? Why is that?
He is death to America. Are you kidding?
So
death to America.
What particularly is this this little protest about?
Hmm?
What particularly is this little protest
Black
about?
conservatives.
Black conservatives?
We're showing that not only old white people are Republicans and conservatives.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what conservative meaning family values?
Limited government, family values.
Okay.
Believe in the Bible. Believe in God. No taxes. No homosexual marriage.
Okay, so
no same-sex marriage.
So do you feel that it is a conservative principle to use government to achieve these ends through the violence of law?
No.
Okay, so how? Because I would agree with you. Abortion's very immoral. Gay marriage is
murder.
I would agree with you. I agree with you. So do you think that the way to go about causing this change is through the violence of law, or maybe we need to do something within our society to change the morality within the people?
People need to wake up.
Yeah. So do you feel it's okay to use the violence of law against people who make a choice that you do or don't like? Do you feel that it's okay to have to vote for a government that will use violence against these people just because you don't agree with their choices?
Well, we have the power to vote.
But I mean, in principle, do you feel that's a conservative principle to have the, when you say you want limited government, to then turn around and use big government to oppress people who make choices that you don't like?
Stand up, America!
No. That's not conservative?
Don't be a coward!
You think it's conservative?
No, I don't.
To oppress people that have different views from you?
So don't you want abortion to be illegal and gay marriage to be illegal and stuff like that?
Out with abortion! Out with abortion!
If the government sanctions it, the government is wrong, and the people will get punished for voting in that type of government.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If I answer some questions. Sure. All right. What are you guys here for?
Don't be a coward.
We want to bring awareness to certain issues in America, like same-sex marriage, abortion, the problem that we have with illegals, the budget issue, issues that we feel that the Democrats and the Republicans or the Tea Party are not telling America the truth and not telling America the situation and how severe our situation is in America.
Okay, so you want these issues to be illegal, like same-sex marriage, abortion, and stuff like that?
We do not want them to be legal, no.
I'm saying you want them to be illegal?
Illegal, yes, yes.
Okay, and you're a conservative?
Yes.
Okay, so conservative meaning small government?
I guess conservative would mean small government, but one of our main issues on the government issues is, of course, the debt. We have right now $16 trillion debt. They're projecting as high as $26 trillion. That is obviously something that our country cannot cope with. In other words, if we don't get our debt in balance very quickly, then of course America will go down.
I totally agree with that.
We'll be totally bankrupt. we're basically bankrupt now because our debt exceeds our gross domestic product.
Gotcha. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm all for end the Fed. So my question is, as a conservative, somebody who is for small government, do you feel it is a conservative principle to then turn around and ask that government to use the violence of law against people who make choices that you don't want them to make?
No, of course not.
Okay, so then why would you try to pass laws for these things? Because don't get me wrong, I'm very much so against abortion, but I'm against using violence against people. So
yeah, we of course are not promoting violence. I mean, that is why.
Isn't that what law is?
No, law is restrictions. Without law, we do not have a society.
So
we are wanting abortion to be illegal because we believe, of course, abortion is murder.
Okay, so that's again my point. Violence meaning, and violence of law meaning that if somebody makes this choice that you voted in for and funded through for your taxes, that if they make this choice, then they can be taken and put into a cage. Do you feel that's a conservative principle when you say you want small government to turn around and ask government to do these things to people?
Well, I mean, if people break the law, they're normally not put in a cage. But of course, if they break the law, then of course there must be consequences to that action, and then they would have to suffer due process, of course.
So you think we should use violence against these people that have abortions and are gay?
I don't think we should use violence. I guess it depends on your definition of violence. If you are saying the simple arresting of someone is violence, yeah, then of course that's violence. I do not consider that to be violence.
Okay, so how is that not violence for people who make a choice that doesn't affect you personally to be put in a cage? A cage meaning a prison cell, or being forced to be paid fines where if they don't pay them, they go into the same cage.
Well, to me it's actually very simple. We live in a country, there must be rules and regulations, there must be laws. Those laws, of course, are no good unless there's consequences to those laws.
So, but does that
if you don't like the law, then of course you have to go through due process to try to change that law. But of course if we break the law, there must be consequences. If we are not going to have consequences, then we don't need laws.
So do we need laws for every menial human activity or everything that we might not agree with for other people?
I think we definitely do not, no. But I think an issue, let's say like abortion, I don't believe that's a small issue.
I don't either.
Someone must stand up for the rights of course, the unborn.
So don't you feel that maybe that is more of a societal issue, that we should be doing things to change the minds of these people, of the morality of these people?
I think definitely that would be, of course, much better. I believe the law is not necessarily invalid. I agree with you absolutely that, of course, people need to understand and have a mind change, have a heart change, and understand what abortion is. Then, of course, if they would do that, then we would not need a law. That's absolutely correct.
So if this is a societal change in people's minds, can you think of anything historically where using the violence of law actually changes people's morality, or do they just not do these actions for fear of persecution?
Right. Basically, they just don't do the actions for fear of persecution. I don't believe that in general. I believe in general, laws do not change the heart, of course. The only thing that changes the heart is the personal conviction. But laws are still at times necessary, because all people are not ruled by a good, positive conviction of heart. And if that is not the case, then of course we do need rules and regulations.
Okay, all right, well thank you.
Yeah, good.
Is give peace a chance?
Living in government!
President Paul! 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 Let's fight over the government terrorists! Do you know anything about that? I don't want to be a part of the Black Bloc, but I'll film it.
I'm trying to bring people down this group, like, you know.
I don't know if we should be associating Ron Paul with Black Bloc.
I'm not, I just want to see him pull out.
Here.
Hey,
Here we go.
I'm Charles Kreitz. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm an alternate delegate. I have been blocked from the floor by the Republican National Convention. They're working on my credentials as we speak. We will overcome. We're not going to give up. And I want to thank all of you Ron Paul people for being polite and respectful. When I asked you to put the megaphones away and stop the chanting down there, you did it. Dr. Paul wants us to be respectful and polite. And guys, I'm so proud of you. For those of you on YouTube, I'm Charlie Coon. You can look me up on the Ron Paul Volunteer. I spent the night in jail in Louisiana for Dr. Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're getting followed by a lot of cops. Dude, this is weird. What? I don't like this either. Do you know where they're leading to? It's okay to be there? All right, let's go. We're getting freaked out. Dude, I'm really surprised we're allowed this close, man. This is right around where I got detained the other night.
Is it?
Dude, the hotel is right next to the fucking building.
I'm Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, dude, hey, what's up?
What's up?
What was your name?
Mike.
Mike, good to see you, man. You're in the right place.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous, man, how they like closed in behind us and shit. I'm like, what?
Yeah, this is what they've been doing all day. They're just kind of escorting people.
That's pretty sick. Do you have zip ties? I think people got...
I mean, this was done on purpose, so this is almost...
Why did we turn into Occupy? If I hear one mic check, I'm fucking out of here.
Anybody need...
See what's going on. Just
Wait, there's a delegate there?
Well, I mean, we're walking as close as we can get. Hopefully catch people walking in and out and stuff like that.
No, there's a lot of them.
Cool.
You'll see.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see the in the park.
And have fun with the cops, if nothing else. You know?
Yeah, exactly. All right, can somebody fill me in on what exactly is going on right now?